Forging cyber security experts. Secure Ninja.
Hey everyone, I'm Alicia Webb with SecureNinjaTV. Now, our free preview of SecureNinja's online Sensei series has generated such a positive reaction that we've decided to give away every single module from the Cyber Kung Fu course, featuring Larry Greenblatt, Tom Updegrove, and me. If you like what you see and would like to experience a Secure Ninja training course in person at any of our training locations, we have some amazing time-sensitive specials for you. Just visit SecureNinja.com/specials for all of the do not miss deals. And now, here is your free module from Cyber Kung Fu for the Certified Ethical Hacker version 8. Enjoy.
All right, so hi, welcome to Module 3, Scanning.
Scanning.
Hi, Alicia.
Hello.
All right, so we're going to use a tool called Nmap.
Nmap.
And Nmap is really the quintessential tool for large network scanning, port scanning, operating system identification, and it's relatively easy to use. There's a command line version as well as a GUI version, which is called Nmap. We're going to start off with Nmap because it helps us to define what the actual command switches are. And there's a lot of different, -V for making more verbose. So I want you to type in the terminal Nmap. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and hence we've got the tool. So we'll blow this up a little bit. Okay, good. Also, let's stay in that terminal, because one of the things we need to do is we need to identify what our IP range is before we can start scanning. So I want you to type ifconfig.
Okay.
Good. And as we look here in our term up at the top, okay, on this first interface, which is our virtual machine interface, and we have an address of 103. Okay, so it's safe to assume that all of our machines are going to be in this 192.168.56 range. I happen to know that the virtual switch, its DHCP server, starts giving out addresses at about 100. So we have a little more information here than a person that blindly would be looking at these things. Right?
And we should write this down.
Yeah, do that. Jot that down.
Because we will use it later. All right, got it.
Perfect, okay. All right, so let's get rid of that, okay. We're back in here. So now, up in the target range, I want you to type 192.168.56. Right, you see that 100 to 110 that's already in there?
Mm-hmm.
Right, actually, you can either click on that, okay. Good. Now, in terms of the scan, we're just going to try to identify some things. So I simply want you to make it just a regular scan. Okay, so we're just going to do a regular ping scan, right? And hit scan.
So we're scanning for all IP addresses within
We're
this
scanning
range?
for anything between 100 and 110. We could scan the entire subnet, so from 1 to 254, but 254, but the thing is, it would take longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to make the exercise a little quicker, we're just going to look here. But you can see that we came back with some information already. So we have 5 addresses. Now I know this 100 is actually the inside interface of my virtual box switch. But here we have 101, which we can see that we have a series of open ports in here. As I kind of highlight those, right?
Right.
102, we have even more. 103, I see some information. 103, as we saw, is our machine. Okay, so we could actually make sure, if we did a more serious scan, we would try to eliminate that. We'd do everything but 103, right? And 104. But as yet, we can't see what kind of host they are. Okay? So I'm going to include a new switch here, which is a capital O. And that tells us what the operating system is.
Okay.
Right? So we're going to we're going to do the scan again. Okay? It'll take a little bit longer, but it should tell us what kind of machines we actually have out there. So I kind of look at this almost like a blind person poking around with a stick, you know, in the dark, you know, trying to, you know, I guess for a blind person it would be in the dark.
Right.
But it helps to get even more clarification in terms of what we're dealing with. Okay, so here you can see actually now it came back and you can see some little icons to the left here of the IP address, which is a little window. Okay, so again, if I click on the first one and I go over to the host details, now we can see that it's actually telling us that it is Windows. If we go down here where the operating system actually is pretty good, pretty strong today, it is 100% sure that it's a Windows 2000 machine or a XP machine.
Okay.
So it's your guess as to what it is. And again, we look at 102. Again, we can see that's a Windows Server 2003. Okay? I like this because there's a lot of 2003 boxes still out there. Okay? Whether they're fully patched or not, we don't know. And here we have a Windows 7 machine. Thinks it could be Windows 7 or 2008, but I know it's a Windows 7. Okay? So in itself, we've just used Nmap to define the network, to find the ports that are available. It's very important here because we can see that we have an FTP server that's up, which is capable of file transfer. We have a mail server, SMTP server, that's running a web server. We can see the basic Microsoft NetBIOS ports, and running all the way up 3389 as a remote desktop port. So we may be able to exploit all of these, given some more information. So, but we need to really be able to extract that. So that's what our next lab is going to be. We're going to do an actual vulnerability assessment.
Awesome.
What do you think? What does that say to you, or
Well,
bring up any kind of thoughts or questions?
I guess, let's see. We know how to find the networks. We can see what ports are open. We'll learn what vulnerabilities are available.
And the question you're thinking is, what can we do with those ports?
Yeah.
What are those ports about?
Exactly.
And we can do some pretty simple stuff, like we have a mail server here, right?
Right.
So if we go back to a terminal, open up a new terminal, and I'll just make that terminal a little bigger, okay, so we can see it. And if we use a command called Telnet, this is a way to pop a banner on a service. And we know that the service is there, but we want to define the service and see if it's actually active. Okay, so we can see that here we have that on 101, right? So I come back to this, I go Telnet. We type in 92.168.56.101, and I put the port number in there and hit enter. I just popped the, it just told me that there's a Microsoft ESMTP mail service running. It tells me the actual version. Okay? Nice. Now, a smart person would then go, let's look up this version and see what kind of vulnerabilities there are to it. Yeah. And then we could actually, go another step. But I know that even this mail service is it actually wants to talk and communicate with me.
So you've made the connection.
Right. And then so we go through and I actually evaluate all of them. See if the FTP service is up and running, see if the web service is up and running.
Right.
Okay? So it's just some of the little tricks that we could do since we've extracted that information.
Nice.
So what else? What other questions do you have?
Well, let's see. Let's look at these ports again. What is DDT? This one. Do you know what all of them are?
I have no idea.
No? So the ones that are of most interest to you, FTP, I guess it depends on what your end goal is as a hacker.
But look. So here's what a person does. So you go, what's the port? 1052, right? So we go. Is that so?
Ice Weasel. They have the oddest names for things.
So you want to understand something about ports, look them up.
Oh, neat. Internet Storm Center.
What this is telling us is really what kind of activity is happening on this port, who's scanning it, and who's trying to exploit that port.
Okay.
All day long, people are, you'll see, usually the real popular one is 3389, which is a remote desktop port. It's used by a lot of administrators to manage their servers. But it's also used by hackers. They're always trying to exploit that.
That's the one you want to get into to
right,
control.
Right.
What, besides that, which ports are of most interest to hackers?
Any port that's open.
Okay.
So right now we're on a flat network, so we're already inside the firewall.
Right.
And so what a scan is going to do is going to try to reveal what ports are available and open on the actual firewall.
Okay. So if the
IIS is Internet Information Service. It's a web server. So
okay.
another web service. UPnP, which is a service that allows an inside program to actually create openings in the firewall. Sometimes, actually, that shouldn't be running. That's a bad one because some type of a Trojan can actually just create open ports.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's there for the convenience of somebody that doesn't understand how to open and close or how to do access control list on a firewall, so it'll do it for you.
Right.
Okay? So
Now, the
in
purpose
a
of the
way.
firewall is to not have any openings, right? So why are there still openings?
Because if you're running any kind of a service, any kind of like you're running a web service or an FTP server, it needs to be open. You need to set up a rule. Now you can say in your access control list, you can say, I'm only going to allow this particular IP or this particular MAC address through.
Right.
But in most cases, if you're running a public web server, you will want it open to anybody, right?
Right.
I mean, anybody that wants that information should be able to get in.
Yeah.
Okay? But again, it should only allow them into the web service.
Right. And then the HTTPS here, isn't the S for secure?
That's for secure, right?
But it's open.
So that, well, it is open, but, and again, you'll always find this port 443. If there's a web server running at 99% of the cases, you should be running port 443 or HTTPS.
Okay.
But what's happening is that encrypts the information from the person that is connecting. For instance, let's say you were connecting to Amazon, right? And you went into the shopping cart. You'll see that the lock will come up, and you'll hit. You'll actually now be in an HTTPS session, so that any information passing between you and the web server is going to be encrypted and not viewable to someone else.
Right.
Ideally.
So as far as scanning, we scanned the range of IP addresses that we're looking for. And then first we scanned the IP addresses, and then the O was for operating
It
system.
did the -O.
-O
Right.
to find out which operating systems they're running. Are there any other types of scans we could do?
There's all types of scans. For instance, if your scan doesn't reveal something, then there's a way to try to enumerate those ports by using special type of SYN scans, and there's even what's called a Christmas tree scan, which actually, as we'll go a little deeper when we get into our sniffing, we'll try to identify the different flags that are set when someone does a scan. So when computers talk to each other, there's always a SYN that's sent by the sender. The receiver acknowledges that and then sends a SYNAC back, and then what's called a three-way handshake. So this has to set up anytime machines talk to each other. If the port is closed and I send a SYN, I'm going to get different type of response.
Right.
It doesn't want to communicate.
Cool.
Okay. So I think for now that really gives us a chance to understand scanning and how to use Nmap.
Definitely. Now we hope you've enjoyed this free module, but there's lots more. The Cyber Kung Fu course has 29 videos in all and will really help build you a solid understanding of the CEH version 8 curriculum. Don't forget, if you prefer to attend one of Secure Ninja's courses in person at any of our training locations, you really need to visit secureninja.com/specials for some amazing discounts and other deals. I'm Alicia Webb. Happy training.
Secure Ninja TV is brought to you by SecureNinja.com, a world leader in cybersecurity training and certification. Our master instructors will help build you into a highly skilled and marketable security professional. Secure Ninja, forging cybersecurity experts.